Hello, Nari McDiarmid for Mining News, and I'd like to welcome back Bruce Maluish, Managing Director of VRX Silica. And Bruce, VRX is a pure play silica sand company with 5 projects, Arrowsmith North being the most advanced, and you're in the midst of the environmental approval process there. What are the highlights of this project?
Yes, we're near the end, we think, of the environmental approvals process. We're dealing with the EPA, and the last document, which we lodged only last week, is the response to submissions. And these are submissions that were submitted during the public environmental review period. That was an important stage to get to that point. But we got a number of submissions, or only about 8 submissions, and we've responded to those before. In October. They were then circulated around all the government departments. They made comments. We've addressed those comments and we've amended the response to submissions and resubmitted it. We think we've addressed all the concerns there, and we're hopeful it'll move on to the next step. And the next step is a final assessment by the EPA, a report submitted to the minister with a recommendation. We expect to get a recommendation for approval, but with conditions. And that most of those conditions will be commitments that we've already made in the environmental review document and the response to submissions.
So it's quite a large scale project, Bruce, from my understanding, what you're hoping to achieve with your silica sand project. So, for anyone unfamiliar though, can you provide a quick reminder of what the importance is of silica sand and perhaps also a little bit about your recent silica flower samples from your Mouche project?
Yeah, we're always looking at other opportunities, but Arrowsmith North, it is a large project. It'll be the largest sand mining project within the Swan Plain. And that's part of the reason why the environmental approvals process is a bit drawn out. But we've been working on it fairly diligently for a number of years. Silica sand, it's an interesting commodity. It's one that nobody thinks about, but you're surrounded by it all the time. And it's in things like, surrounded by paint. It's a portion of that, any glass, and it includes, the screen that's in front of you, the LCDs in the screen, the thin film on the front of the monitor. They're all silicon based. The plastic that's around your monitor, that's got silicon in it as well. So it's, and the lighting that's above you, and of course, these days getting more and more involved in the renewable space, solar panels, the glass that's above the solar panels, the actual production of polysilicon, and also there's some obscure uses for it as well. And this is where our silica flour comes into it. We're looking at very unique markets that are increasingly important as we move into the renewable space. So not just solar panels, but the silica flour can go into high tensile yarn fiberglass. And that's the fiberglass that's used to put the coating on a wind turbine blade. And it's very strong. It's bulletproof, and it's integral to the construction of a turbine blade. But also, strangely enough, it's used in thermal protection. So you got it's a thermal blade that goes in between battery units on big industrial scale lithium batteries. And it's to stop them catching fire fast. It's all it does is delay the fire from one battery cell to the next, and it's a silicon sponge that is the thermal protection. That's increasing demand for it. It's a very specific silica flour, but very specific particle size distribution, and a particular quality as well. We're aiming to be able to deliver into that, and also the LCD market. So if you have a sand of the quality that we have at Mouche, there are all sorts of downstream opportunities that can be investigated. and we're trying to investigate as many of those as possible.
There's some interesting options out there, as you say, Bruce. So, what are you hoping to achieve this calendar year?
Approval at Arrowsmith North. That's our primary focus at the moment. It's almost all we're doing at the moment is to get that approved. But there are lessons to be learnt from this whole process at Arrowsmith North. All the surveys we've undertaken at Arrowsmith North, we've repeated at Mouchet. There's some subtle variations in the vegetation there, so we've done extra surveys. So we're learning lessons by starting with Arrowsmith North, and they're directly applicable to our other projects. Second cab off the rank, we want to get Mouchet up and running. We've in the process at the moment of modifying our mining lease there. We've got an application that we're preparing for the Minister for Mines, and an application to be recognised as a project of state significance, and for Mouchet. And we hope to submit that in the next few weeks as well. It might take a little while to get that resolved, but it gives us a much larger project area, and we think the lowest environmental impact at Mouchet, combined with good quality sand.
Well, you've alluded to the significance of your projects there, Bruce, and also the demand for this product. But how would you sum up to a potential investor listening?
It's a bit about the critical mineral space. We were published in the Austrade critical minerals list. It's recognised by state and federal governments that silica and silicon is a critical mineral, and its contribution to the renewables. So, it's whether you look at it from a point of view of saying, yes, it's a critical mineral, but also the fact that Asia is running out of sand. And it's because of concrete, as it happens. The demand for sand for concrete is using up any available supplies of silica sand at an incredible rate. All that stimulus spending that's going on in Asia is generally infrastructure, which equals concrete. And it's actually the reason why the iron ore price is so high. Not just the building industry, but the infrastructure industry as well. Those demands from the concrete industry have made the supply of silica sand critical. And every Asian country has banned exports of silica sand. There's some small permits that have allowed out of Malaysia, Vietnam and Cambodia combined to ban dredging in the Mekong River. That took 20 million tonnes a year out of the supply. And all the other countries are acutely concerned about their own domestic requirements, particularly for concrete, but coincidentally with its requirements for particularly glass making in Korea and Japan, particularly around the foundry industry as well. And we're looking to deliver into both of those.
There's a lot on the go, Bruce, and all the very best for the months ahead.
Thanks, Nari.